Welcome in the Quest Number 9 podcast. My name is Seth Warner. Today on this episode, we're going to be talking about Kentucky basketball from a fan's perspective. Kentucky getting closer and closer to the season being here with Big Blue Madness being less than a week away, and Kentucky just overall getting closer and closer to their season as things start heating up. Also, Kentucky staff visited a couple players this week and getting into some of that, and also Kentucky visiting schedule for Big Blue Madness, as that's one of Kentucky's top visiting times for some of their top targets. And I talked about Big Blue Madness being this coming week. It's on this coming week, a week from today. I'm recording this on Saturday. So, Kentucky, like I said, it's a big starter to their season with Pro Day being a little bit after that, and Kentucky heating up for that October 24th, first game of the season, 20 days away. And as things start heating up more and more, we're going to get real game action coming soon. Like I said, a little more than 2 weeks away. Also, Kentucky basketball had been hard on the recruiting trail early on. CJ Ross, Abu Z Jr., and Beckham Black are the three guys Kentucky visited over the week. Black is if you recognize kind of that last name, his older brother played at Arkansas, another guy that Kentucky had a chance with. The 6'2" shooting guard Kentucky visited over this week. And all three of these guys hold Kentucky offers. And Kentucky is really heating up with all three of these dudes with the center, the 7-foot center, also holds a Kentucky offer, number 3 in the nation, number 3 nationally, number 1 center. All three of these guys are 2027 players, so they're juniors, going to be seniors in the next cycle. So they still have one more cycle till they're going into their last AAU season. So things are really starting to heat up for these guys in that 2027 class. As the 2026 class begins to commit, Tyron Stokes committed to Kansas last Sunday. That was big breaking news. Kentucky was kind of out of the race for him, but overall, Kentucky just is staying in it. The only update from Tyron is he did kind of a weird post. He posted all the different places he visited, but other than that, he officially signed with Nike. Kentucky's really the true number 1 school for Nike. Overall, Kentucky is one of the top schools in that race, while still having a lot of recruits going down to the wire, with only a couple different guys committed in that 2026 class. Deron Rippey Jr., also another big Kentucky target. Kentucky's also really closing in on him, being one of Kentucky's main point guard targets, especially since Tate Kinney's out, but he was pretty much their number 1 guy most of the way, is my understanding. But overall, Kentucky, I feel like, put them in a good position with him and Tyron Stokes are their 2 number 1A, 1B when it comes to positional value. Point guard, Tyron can really play 2 through 4 is my kind of vision for him. But overall, Kentucky just keeps on keeping on with recruiting, and not a whole lot of updates. Practice really at the moment. It's just they're keeping on developing and trying to hold where we're at. We got a little bit of a video, if you didn't see it on social media, of Jalen Lowe during practice and just his communication and leadership. I thought that was very interesting to see, just him knocking down shots and their competitive nature during practice, and Kentucky just really locking in as we get closer and closer to that Big Blue Madness and October 24th. There's also another interesting storyline with Big Blue Madness. It actually sold out in like 29 minutes, so that was always crazy. And Kentucky's just heating up for their official tip-off. Duke had their official tip-off, and teams are really starting to get full force for the season. We're about a week and a half into the full 20-hour-a-week practice schedules. So those are really starting to get into full blast. But overall, Kentucky is really starting to dig in as we progress in recruiting, especially for this 2026 class. I expect dominoes to start falling once guys start committing as we get into the beginning of the season and as we get closer and closer to the early signing period for this Kentucky recruiting staff. And if Kentucky ends up losing out on him, we'll have to fill that void in some way. But like I said, Kentucky's one of the leads for that. And as we heat up in Kentucky's season, as we get into more and more games, my schedule is going to change a little bit when it comes to episode stuff. After this week, I plan on next week starting a 2 episode a week schedule. So we'll really start getting into some of the season predictions and just breaking down some of these teams that Kentucky's going to go against and what are some of the matchups and just some of the expectations. I got a couple other guests I'm planning on, so getting some other perspectives on that and recruiting. So we'll get a full scene of what Kentucky basketball looks like and diving into Kentucky preseason, what they're going to look like going into this wild college basketball and SEC season. You can also go find me at Questro number 9 on Instagram and Twitter, and I post it on there if you want to know when my new episodes come out, other than if you're not on YouTube. So, and I will see you next time.